So thanks to the efforts of President Trump, 20 families have been reunited now that all of the living hostages have been released from Gaza, and now peace in the Middle East is closer than it has been for decades. Joining us now is one of the Democrats applauding the president for this accomplishment in New Jersey, Congressman Josh Gottheimer. Congressman, thanks so much for joining the program this morning.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
So you, like many other Americans, just not Americans, folks all over the world, are applauding the president for this peace agreement. What's your reaction this morning?
Yesterday was a very emotional day, as you know, and I'm sure, like so many people, watching the videos of parents and loved ones hugging their family members after not seeing them for more than 2 years, knowing what was happening in those tunnels, hostages being tortured by Hamas terrorists day in and day out after the October 7th massacre and what happened, not just on that day, but how Hamas treated the hostages after that. So seeing them free and out and with their loved ones, I mean, it was an incredibly emotional day. And I give so much credit to these families who just kept up hope and never given up.
Mm-hmm. Congressman, I think you have great instincts. You're part of the Problem Solvers Caucus. You're always trying to work across the other side of the aisle. What do you say to some of the Democrats that left the president out of the congratulations, even some taking credit for it, saying this was a Biden proposal? You also have Hakeem Jeffries, who said, "I'm so relieved and thankful to see the remaining living hostages are now home with their loved ones." He didn't mention the president. Nancy Pelosi, the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas and the release of all the hostages gives hope for what comes next after unbearable suffering. Of course, Bernie Sanders said today we welcome the long overdue release of all 20 remaining Israelis, held by Hamas, and the freeing of almost 2,000 Palestinians held in Israeli prisons. What's your advice for them?
Well, I can't speak for my colleagues, but I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
I know what I believe, which was yesterday was a great day for American leadership, and obviously, thanks to President Trump and his team, it happened. I mean, I had a hostage here from New Jersey, Don Alexander, who's 21, who the president helped free with his team. So, we should give credit where it's due, and this is not a partisan thing. We should all be very proud as Americans of our leadership and what got done thanks to us. And also, by the way, I'm one of these people, and I'm sure you'd agree, that we should give credit to everybody. And so 100 hostages were released in the last administration. We should give credit to them too. And everybody, this is one of those things where everybody who is involved, but especially the parents, everybody should be very proud. And now, as you know, the key is keeping Hamas's feet to the fire, because we still have to get out. We released 20 hostages yesterday, but there's 24 more hostages who we believe are no longer alive, whose remains are in Gaza. We have to hold them accountable until we get every single one out, so that these families can have closure and properly mourn. And and then, of course, we have to make sure that Hamas lays down their weapons and hands over governing power. So there's a lot of work still to do. We all have to work together, stop pointing fingers, and just get this done. And to me, that's the most important thing. Again, great American leadership yesterday. We should all be very proud.
I like the way you think, and you talk about leadership and working together. The government is now being shut down back here at home for 14 days now. What is it going to take to get the government open? Many of the Republicans say, this is just a clean CR. Let's vote for this. And if there is going to be some policy disagreements, then we need to do that in the committees, like regular order requires. Do you disagree?
Well, what I think is there's a big issue, as you probably know, that's out there that has to be dealt with now, because come November 1st, the health insurance marketplace reopens. So that's just in a couple weeks. And families, if we don't do something about this right now, this is not one of these things you can delay and send to a committee and get stuck in bureaucracy. Right now, we got to work together and figure out how to get health insurance premiums down. This is the Affordable Care Act, health insurance premiums. Because if we don't, literally for millions of Americans, you're talking about health insurance prices going up $20,000 a year for a family here in Jersey, for a family of 4, if this doesn't get fixed. And with what the prices people are facing and what they're dealing with from not just health care, but as you know, child care issues and food and energy bills, we got to deal with this. So listen, I'm one of these people who believes we should just sit at the table and work together. I'm already doing that. We should all be in Washington. I'm going there back today. open up the House, work together,
But Congressman,
literally day in, day out, until we get this done. And again, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm short on time, and I never want to interrupt. But don't you think that is a debate to have? But in the process, would you vote to open up the government, and then y'all sit at the table to have that back and forth debate? But there's many people that are suffering right now because they don't have the money.
Well, listen, there's a reason why Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate have said publicly we got to deal with this now. You know, it's not just Democrats who've said we got to deal with this in insurance premiums now. And you know how it is. If you don't actually solve this problem now and say, let's just punt this thing to later, literally the premiums are going to go up. Nothing will get solved. This is our chance to do it. And listen, again, I'm not pointing fingers. Yeah. What I'm saying is just let's get at the table. Let's figure it out. Let's work it out. We're close. Many of us are working together. I think we can get there. You saw what we did yesterday in the Middle East. There's no reason why, if we work together, we can't do this. And the president's got great momentum now to say to everyone, okay, let's go. Let's get together in a room and work it out. Right? And that's all I'm asking for, is we can do this.
I got to go, but it's such a great point, because I look at this. This has been an issue for decades in the Middle East. And you see the commander-in-chief get peace in the Middle East, and then he comes back home, and we hear the narrative that he's not willing to work across the side of the aisle. It just doesn't seem true. But I hope that there are more reasonable Democrats like you that are willing to get to the negotiating table so all of our American workers can get paid. Thank you so much for joining the program. I hope you will come back.
Thanks. Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
I will. Thank you for having me.